Book Club Shmook Club is brought to you by Talk Bomb. It's a book review show where I, Kristen Rogers Anderson, and my brother, Will Rogers, talk about a different book every other week. For more information, like our full archive of shows and our calendar of upcoming books, go to talkbomb.com/schmook. SHMOOK. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram under the usernames @ChillinKristen and @HauntedSponge. Book Club Shmook Club is available on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. Welcome to Book Club Shmook Club. I'm Kristen.
I'm William.
And we're here to talk to you about Ripper, The Secret Life of Walter Sickert by Patricia Cornwell.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
This book came recommended to us.
Oh, you know what I just realized we forgot to do? It came recommended by a listener, Andy, who emailed us. And remember, he said that he wanted to hear the Remix to Ignition opening.
All right, I'll just have to do that.
Can you just like drop? Yeah.
I mean, I'll have to make it. Did we change anything? Can you just
literally drop it in here, like where we're talking, even if it's not the opening? Just like do it for a little fun? No, usually I don't do this, but it's the freaking weekend, baby. I'm about to read me a book. Hello, welcome to Book Club Shmook Club. I'm Kristen.
I'm William.
And we're here to talk to you about Ripper, The Secret Life of Walter Sickert by Patricia Cornwell.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
This book came recommended to us. There's no way that we can really have history with this book, right?
I kind of do a little bit in a way, because this book is, which I actually didn't realize initially when we were going to read it, but it's just sort of an expanded edition of her previous book, Portrait of a Serial Killer. So it's the same book with some additions. I thought it was a whole other expanded investigation into it, which isn't true.
Yeah.
But my mild history with this book, by way of the fact that it's basically Portrait of a Serial Killer, is that our dad had that book. And I kind of flipped through it, but I never fully read it. So that's not much of a history, but there's something.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, I have zero history with the book.
Okay.
But what about Jack the Ripper as like a weirdo, notorious monster man?
You know what? I am interested in Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I don't have like a real rich history with Jack the Ripper, thankfully.
Right.
But no, as far as like big bads out there, like real life bad serial killers, I am interested in Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
Like I'm interested in him himself, actually, even though we don't know who he is and his crimes and stuff. And I'm also interested in the whole like ripperologist phenomenon.
Yeah.
Like that there are people who are like so into it. I find the whole thing really interesting. And someone made a good point. I can't remember if it was in this book or when I was doing a little bit of background research. Somebody said that even though it's so simplistic, that part of the reason we might like as a society still be so interested in Jack the Ripper is because of his name. Because the name Ripper is so different than like Jack the Stabber, Jack the Cutter. Jack the Ripper is really visceral and really gnarly.
Yeah.
So I do think it plays in a little bit, honestly. It's like quite a name.
It definitely sounds like it's got to be much gnarlier than any other serial killer. And in a lot of ways.
It is gnarlier than I realized, to tell you the truth. Yeah. I didn't realize that he was like... real quick, just so you guys all know, I would imagine you kind of know because of this episode. This episode's going to be disgusting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean,
so I'm about to say something disgusting.
This is actual like true crime as a subgenre. Like we're going to be talking about like actual things that he did to actual people.
Yeah, this is one of the few nonfiction books that we've read.
Right.
So what I'm about to say is disgusting. You know, be careful if you don't want to hear that or whatever. I didn't realize that he was literally, like, I knew that he disemboweled women.
Yeah.
I didn't know that it was for the purpose of, like, getting to their uterus.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that he was, like, throwing intestines over his shoulder to get to the uterus.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's really unhinged. And that's why...
like, kidneys sometimes.
Sure. Yeah. Sometimes you might eat
if he's
half
feeling
a kidney.
spicy. Yeah.
That's why it's like particularly weird to me, the idea that like this book, basically the entire thrust of it is supposing that this guy, Walter Sickert, who was an artist, who was like a renowned, famous artist, was Jack the Ripper.
Right.
And so it's basically playing on one of the many sort of like presentations of Jack the Ripper where he's kind of sort of like an upper statesmanly kind of guy where he's like very put together and he's intelligent and he's well educated and he is like kind of posh and put together.
Yeah.
And he has this secret double life as Jack the Ripper.
Right.
And it's weird because like I feel like some of the presentations of Jack the Ripper are as if he's like a classical Englishman.
Yeah.
And some are as if he's like a raving lunatic who's just like creeping through the streets.
Well, I think it's supposed to be a little from column A, a little from column B.
I mean, it is.
Yeah.
But it's weird that like, if this book is right, if it was this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, frankly, the portrayal of him is that he's like a psychopath.
I mean, at the very least, he doesn't seem like a real great guy.
No. And that he like wreaked havoc pretty much wherever he went in a variety of ways. If he wasn't killing people, he was like basically like swindling people out of their money.
Yeah.
But it is supposing that he was mostly a put together individual.
Yeah.
Who lived like a pretty professional public life and then secretly was like Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
Like ripping through people.
Right.
Yeah, it's horrific.
Also, what's interesting and weird about Jack the Ripper is that, like, there are all these, like, weird fictionalized accounts of him. Like, isn't there a show called Ripper on right now or something? That's, like, almost a Lucifer jam? Like, I feel like I'm picturing the Lucifer guy being him, even though it's not.
Right. I mean, you're not far off.
So what's the deal with it, you know?
Yeah, okay. I know a lot about it.
Do you watch, or have you watched it?
No.
Okay.
But I did a little bit of research.
Yeah.
So,
good, because I meant to and I forgot.
In the 70s, there was a movie made called, I think it was called Time After Time.
Okay.
And it starred Malcolm McDowell.
Okay.
Not as Jack the Ripper, which I feel like would make sense.
It's weird. Yeah.
He plays...
He has such a scary face.
Yeah, he plays H.G. Wells.
Okay.
Who invents literally a time machine.
All right.
That Jack the Ripper steals...
This was a show?
This
or
was a movie in the 70s.
Movie. Okay.
And he travels to the then modern era of the 1970s. And H.G. Wells chases after him.
Are they in, like, New York?
I think so.
Okay. I haven't seen it, but that just sounds right to me. It would be like club disco time where Jack the Ripper's unleashed. Yeah.
And there was something, I read the plot synopsis because I don't care to see it.
Yeah.
Where Jack the Ripper is like, in my time, I was an artist.
Was he making my favorite kinds of jokes? Those like out of time, fish out of water jokes?
These pantaloons are a bit form-fitting. Methinks I like them. Yes, I do.
In this strange new time, they've abstracted mirrors and constructed them into spheres that they hang over themselves while they dance.
Right. These blasted mechanical horses don't listen when I say, whoa! They don't stop and get out of my way at all. I mean, probably. It's a hardcore snort.
Yeah. No. By the way, when you said mechanical horses, I thought you were playing off of my thing about joking about a disco ball. I was still thinking about an inside thing, and I thought you meant like a mechanical ball. And then, and then I understood when you... anyway.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no. But he says something to the effect of like, in our time, I was an artist. In this time, I'm an amateur. Meaning like, I can do so much more stuff. I've got so much yet to learn.
Oh my God.
And then they just made it into a TV series. Yeah. And it got canceled after 4 episodes.
Oh, did it? Okay, yeah.
And I remember seeing a few commercials for it and just being like, why? What is up with this like sexy guy presentation of Jack the Ripper?
I know. I thought the same thing. When I first heard there was a show, I didn't know anything about it. I was like, oh, I like Jack the Ripper stuff. Maybe I'll watch that. And I must have seen a commercial or something. I was like, what?
Yeah.
No, I'm not here to like sexualize Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, no way.
That's not what I'm here for.
It's not what I came here for.
No.
All right.
Yeah.
The show was produced by and partially written by Kevin Williamson of Scream fame.
Oh, that rings a bell.
Which is also disappointing.
That is disappointing.
It's a shame.
Come on, Kev.
It's a shame is all.
Yeah.
Yeah, canceled after 4 episodes. They produced something like 9 episodes, so they're definitely losing money on it.
Yeah.
And it seems to be a big piece of crap.
Did Jack the Ripper basically look like the Lucifer guy?
I mean, I didn't look it up. I remember seeing the previews when they were on however many months ago, but I did not watch any of it.
Yeah, okay.
So I know that sucks.
Seems like it.
But like,
so that's your history with it.
But that's kind of like the news about Zach Efron playing Ted Bundy.
Yes.
Where it's like, why are we going with like Mr. Macho, Mr. Mucho Macho?
I can't remember if we said this on this show before, so Schmooks, I apologize if I'm repeating this or whatever. But like, I'm not totally sure that's what it's going to be. It might be like Charlize Theron playing Eileen Wuornos in Monster. Like maybe Zac Efron is going to wimp down and like hot down.
Yeah. That's a pretty good comparative.
That's what I think.
When they announced that Charlize Theron was playing Eileen Wuornos, I bet people were like, what?
Yeah.
And then they saw it and they realized.
I mean, it's a thing. Or like, Halle Berry in Monsters Ball, like famously hot people kind of like taking their number down a notch.
Yeah, I guess.
I think it's not impossible. I'd be very surprised if it was Zac Efron being like super hot Zac Efron and like ripping out of a polo shirt. I don't think so.
I wonder if they're going to have a trailer where he's like, can you help me load my car? And like winking the camera.
Is Zac Efron in the Baywatch movie right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
The movie looks so bad.
Yeah.
Like, I really don't give a shit what people think is funny or whatever, but there were 2 jokes in the commercial or trailer for that I was like, this is being made today in 2017. The first one was that it was a girl talking to him and she's like, you're looking here. And I'm pointing to boobs. I'm going to need you to look up here, like to her face or whatever. And I was like, what? That joke is so old. And then it was somebody, or it was a girl. It might have been the same girl. Maybe this girl just sucks. Anyway, it was like the same girl on a yacht. And she was like, who's your daddy now? And I was like, what is this movie?
That's a shame. She thought she was going to be in something
that
really
weird?
fun. No, it's not that weird because they made 21 Jump Street.
So weird.
They made 21 Jump Street. And
no,
it
not
was
the concept.
Very popular. And they're just doing the same thing with Baywatch, where they're
not
being
the
like,
concept. The
we're
jokes.
trying to bring back the Baywatch program.
I don't even have a problem with that. I heard 21 Jump Street is good.
It is good. They just shouldn't keep doing it all the time.
Correct. But no, it's not the concept. It's literally the jokes like that. Like, how many jokes over the years have you heard of like, you're looking here, I'm going to need you to bring it up here or whatever. Or like, my eyes are up here was basically the joke.
Yeah.
And then who's your daddy now?
Who's
your daddy now?
Well, it's not the same person it was before, I guess.
Or maybe it's just who's your daddy. I don't know. But
who's on top of the world now? Huh?
Who the fuck talks about who's your daddy? It was so weird.
I hear it's.
I was like, why?
It's like one of the biggest flops in recent memory.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a shame. I like Zac Efron and The Rock.
I like The Rock too. The Rock might be the Wolfman in the Universal monster movies.
Okay.
Too big. Unless they're trying to make him like
there's no way
Hulk,
he's going to small down.
The
there's
Hulk
no
of
way.
the Avengers kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, maybe he will small down a little bit, honestly. Their body is their instrument, so sometimes they tweak their tool.
But The Rock's not very serious. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. He's having a good time. I think he's a good time Charlie. I think he's really good at what he does.
Charlie. He seems so nice.
But I don't think he's going to sacrifice.
I've heard that he is so nice and genuine to like reporters and people like that. He's supposed to be like incredibly warm. I really like him.
I think that he's not going to sacrifice what he's like known for to be the Wolfman. I think he's going to want to be
Well, the thing is, I don't think he would be asked
make
to.
the wolf big.
I think that if they were trying to make it like a cool kind of like old in any way monster movie, then maybe that would be a thing. And I think it's not impossible. You're going to make like an Abbott and Costello joke or something.
Yes, I was about to make an Abbott and Costello joke. I'm going to ruin it. I'm going to be doing another live show on Sunday night.
Yeah.
On the Hunt to Killer Facebook page, 8 p.m. Eastern. If you guys want to watch
really
live.
Good.
Where I was going to talk about the new Universal Dark Universe thing with all the monsters.
Yeah.
And I was saying, like, when are they going to make Abbott and Costello meets the Wolfman? And
William.
what do they do? Is it Harold and Kumar meet?
It's Willie and Chrissy.
Dracula, I guess. I think it could be Harold and Kumar go to Dracula's or, like Jay and Silent Bob meet the Wolfman. Like,
William
who are the
and
other?
Kristen. We can meet the Wolfman. That'd be great. I think we'd be great at that.
I think we would be great at that. I don't
think Hollywood's
maybe we should
down our door.
You know what? With all the Dark Universe stuff ramping up, maybe we should start working on making the first ever like Talk Bomb sketch where it's Will and Chrissy meet the Wolfman.
Sure.
And it's like fucking Shaggy and Scooby running away from the wolf. But that would be so annoying because we'd have to distill our like comedic voices into something.
It's too much work.
Where I would just like, I'd be afraid of just being like, so you're the wolf? I mean, really, come on. Come on. You're not even that wolfy. Look at my beard. I might be a wolf. Like, I'd be afraid of it being like crap jokes.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I don't know. But yeah.
If Marvel comes a call and I'm ready, or whoever.
Everyone look forward to a version of that same joke on Sunday night because I'm very excited about it. I like thinking about Harold and Kumar going to...
Honestly, it's a really good joke. I'm kind of excited
for Transylvania.
Are you preparing like slides or whatever?
No.
Oh.
I mean, now
you do that sometimes.
Yeah, it's not something that I should have been like, no, you idiot. But no, I was not preparing to put Harold and Kumar in the same shot as like Russell Crowe. Yeah, I did make a shot at the Magooniverse. You're right. Fair enough.
So I'm not saying you have to, but that's why I asked.
When you're right. Maybe I should present it as like a pitch. Here's how you do it.
I mean, honestly, if you have time to, I know it already takes a lot of time. I bet you would do something really funny.
I might be able to do something.
I kind of think you should if you have time.
What are the other comedic
The time
duos?
and inclination. Hang on a second. Okay.
Literally,
obviously the most famous, Harold and Kumar, Jay and Silent Bob. You've already said those.
Yeah, is there any other like this
Abbott
guy and that
Costello.
guy?
Well, now I'm just thinking of all the talk show things. David Letterman and Paul.
My God. That would be... I would have to see that. I would... If they made David Letterman and Paul Schaefer...
I almost said Paul Scheer. Was that what you were thinking? Yeah.
If they did David Letterman and Paul Schaefer meet the monsters...
The Mummy.
Like where it would be like David Letterman and Paul Schaefer bought tickets to go on vacation together, and they're like, we landed at the wrong airport.
Oh, God.
And he's like, what do you mean, Dave? So this looks like Newt Gingrich's beach home.
Oh my God.
Like a bunch of weird old jokes.
I know. That's
like,
perfect.
I love David Letterman, but he always makes like bizarre, obtuse references to things that no one really understands in total.
That's so funny. Nicole Richie and Paris Hilton.
Wow. Sadly, it might be like the Kardashians meet Dracula or something.
No, that would stink.
Well, yeah.
They're getting bad ratings right now.
Are they really?
Yeah. It's surprising but also kind of heartening in a way, because they've gone through real tragedy in the last year or so. And you would think that people are vultures, including myself, and like are interested in all the tragic stuff and watching it. They get better ratings when they're having a good time. Isn't that kind of nice?
Sure.
Like, people don't want to see Kim crying about being robbed and like Lamar Odom like Lamar Odom having an OD and, you know?
Yeah. Is he all right now?
No.
Oh.
Anyway.
All right. Anyway,
I'm recording this one. Are we more on one because we're recording like visually?
Maybe.
I feel like this is really funny. Anyway.
Okay. All right. We don't have a plot synopsis for this
also,
book. Also,
you know why we're a little bit more on one? Because William and I didn't really like this book.
Yeah, maybe we should just go ahead and do it.
Yeah, because I've noticed in the past when we don't really like a book and we don't feel like talking about it, it
becomes tricky.
Yeah.
I have things to say, but I did not like this book. I do not recommend this book.
Nor I.
But instead of having a plot synopsis, I'm going to say this, because the book kind of takes its time and attempts to build a case.
Say that again.
It really takes its time. It overstays its welcome.
Yeah.
But here's the problem for me. Mm-hmm. I went into this knowing almost nothing about Jack the Ripper.
Apparently me too, kind of.
I mean, maybe you didn't know it to like the extent that we learned about it in the book.
Yeah.
But I knew that he killed people in London. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure I've had conversations about him before. And it probably I thought it was interesting at the time, but it didn't really stay in my head. So I kind of forgot it eventually. But I just didn't know much about him. And when I opened this book, stupid me, I kind of expected that I would get some form of digest on the Jack the Ripper lore before we would launch into her case for why this guy, Walter Sickert, is Jack the Ripper.
I found the structure of this book so confusing. So, full disclosure, I'm sorry that we don't have a summary. It's not just because we didn't like the book and because it's a little bit all over the place.
No, it's not because we didn't like the book. It's because there was not really a plot.
No, I mean, I could have pooped one out. I didn't feel good today, if I'm being totally honest. Then that's not connected to the poop part. I had migraine. So I left work early and I took a long nap and I'm better now, which is great, but I didn't write a summary and then I didn't have the brain power to like fire it up.
I don't know.
So that's the only reason why. So I'm sorry we don't. But also the book is so like, it's so all over the place. Yeah. You're right. Like even if I wrote a summary, I would have had to kind of like cobble together stuff. That's part of why I didn't write it, is because when I did have a little bit of time to do it and I was like, I don't know how to summarize this because it's like really all over the place.
Yes, there's not,
and doesn't explain you're right. It assumes that you know all about Jack the Ripper to begin with, which is weird because I also could have used a little bit of a refresh just for context of where we were.
I found it confusing as hell.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't sure if I should just like stay in it and try to be like in it to win it and I'll catch up eventually. Eventually, about a quarter of the way through the book, I said, screw this. I don't know what she's talking about.
I know. I felt the same way. I thought it was crazy.
And I went and I just looked up a bunch of stuff about Jack the Ripper to just get acquainted.
Yeah. I actually, midway through the book, just looked up, not even something about Jack the Ripper, but about, Walter Sickert and her investigation of it, because I was like, I am so confused about what's going on. She would go on for like a really long time about like, something where I would just get totally lost, like mitochondrial DNA or something like that was found on, like envelopes, but it would just get really like deep and convoluted because I think she was so intent on proving her point. She was being so defensive that I feel like she was trying to kind of like leave no stone unturned and be like, I'm explaining this every day, like down to the last drop, but it ended up becoming so confusing for me. I was like, wait, what are we even looking at? What is this DNA on?
100%.
And I also couldn't tell if it was conclusive. It would be like, well, these strands didn't match, but these did. So if that one doesn't, and I was like, so where does that leave it?
Yeah.
Like, I just didn't understand.
Honestly, I think that from if for some reason you're worried about spoilers for this book, and you probably shouldn't be because you already know that Jack the Ripper is one of the great unsolved mysteries of all time, including this book.
Yeah.
If you're worried about spoilers, jump out. I don't recommend it.
Yeah.
But if you want to go read it without hearing anything else, this would probably be the time to go because I'm about to say something that you may not want to hear. So we'll see you guys another time or something. All right. Nothing is conclusive because nothing is conclusive.
It can't be.
Yeah, because it can't be. So literally the entire book is waffling about like, is this something that means something? It might be.
And also just so much supposing and even making up scenarios.
Yeah.
And saying them as though they're true sometimes.
People say that he was in France, but I think he came back. And what he did was this.
Right.
And it's like, all right, well, but I had a problem with the structure in that way because sometimes this book is also like really kind of oddly formatted.
I found it a little sloppy.
Yeah, cause like she'll literally like, there'll be like 3 chapters where it feels like she's just being like, Sickert's background is this. He grew up and he did this. He studied under this guy. He developed his art form here. And this is how we think that he may have developed his taste for blood or something like that. And then she'll go, by the way, I looked all this information up. And she'll literally insert herself in that. She'll go like, and when I learned that, people didn't listen to me.
Yeah.
And you'll be like, well, wait a minute. Like, no one edited that out?
It's so weird.
It feels like her journal.
Completely. Actually, speaking of journals, I took some notes in mine. So that might be a good conversation place to start.
Sure.
So, these are just like random things that I jotted down while I was reading. So they're totally disjointed as the book is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So a part where Patricia Cornwell kind of like inserted herself into the book and was like just talking about like her process or whatever in the middle of talking about, you know, like Victorian tendencies or whatever, which actually I did like when she kind of just gave us like a taste of what life was like back then. That stuff was really interesting to me.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I think that there are legitimate things, like plenty of stuff in this is enjoyable.
Oh, totally. Yeah. It's not like
just
the
if
worst.
you're going into this being like, oh, I'm going to learn about Jack the Ripper. No.
Yeah, totally. So Anne Rule told Patricia Cornwell that she thought Bundy had cute knees.
Yeah.
Cute knees.
I know. It's a weird thing.
Who gives a shit about knees?
It sounds like a J.K. Rowling type detail. You know, like it sounds like a Roald Dahl cutesy pie sort of comment. I don't know. It's odd.
It's really weird. Okay. This is a dumb joke of mine still. So there's a chapter named Walter and the Boys, and the first sentence talks about his penile defect. And I wrote, is this chapter about his balls? Because Walter and the Boys.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Hey, while we're on chapter names, real quick.
Yeah.
I do want to say, so I read the Kindle ebook version.
I hopped around. Did you do the thing?
It was cool.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
I have not seen that with any other thing. So what we're talking about is that there is this Kindle feature for some books. I've literally never seen it for any other book. I hope it's in more books. I wonder if it's in nonfiction books like this, you know what I mean? Where there are,
maybe. I think it's just
where there are visuals.
They need something where like somebody was able to take the time
it seemed
to put
time
it together,
intensive.
it seems, yeah.
And it was cheap. It was like $1.99 or something crazy. It was like, it was really cool. Oh, good. Well,
they have just kind of like a cool feature where sort of like a graphic appears at the top and moves around.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't think
it's a very subtle effect. I don't know. But
but even just there would be pictures throughout the book and just cool things like zooming in on that. You can't see it at all. Well, it's just like white.
All right.
I mean, I don't know. But they would just do things where there'd be like like an illustration of like a shadowy figure and it gets darker and then lighter, like things like that. It was really cool.
Yeah, it was really clever. I liked it a lot.
But so because they were so cheap, which was great, I started out thinking I was just going to read the book, but then I was like, oh, there you go. I don't think it's moving just now,
don't comment on it because this is going to be.
I'm sorry.
Just for people who are watching and when
You're
people
right.
hear it, they're not going to know what's going on.
You're right. Sorry, podcast listeners. I'm not used to the double dip. Seriously, guys, I'm sorry. I don't want to make it an annoying experience for you.
No, I'm going to cut all this out.
Oh, okay. Then fuck you. Enjoy video people.
Yeah.
But I thought I was just going to read it, and then I was like, I was doing a lot of things at work where I needed to listen to things anyway, so I was like, I wonder how much it is on Audible. I guess I'll get it too. And it was $2.50 or something. Yeah. So I just did both.
Yeah.
Something that I thought was interesting and really weird, and one of those sort of like taste of the time sorts of things was that the dirtiness of doctors' aprons was a status symbol. Like the dirtier and by dirty I mean bloodier and like, body ephemera-y.
Almost literally showing like
I've worked on this many people. I'm this disgusting.
Look at all the experience I've accrued because I'm covered in blood from head to toe.
Yeah, like they looked down on cleanliness.
And it was like a sign of like being like fastidious and uptight if you had a clean office,
you're like
bizarre.
A real dandy. Yeah, so weird and interesting. Another thing that's weird and interesting and creepy was that at the time, the way that the mortuary cameras worked. Do you remember this?
No.
So they're talking about photographing the dead bodies, just for records or whatever, like professionally. And the way that the mortuary cameras worked was that they could only shoot straight forward, like upright.
Yeah.
So they hung the corpses up to take pictures of them.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So they'd be like holding up like a lady by her ponytail, like suspended, like have hooks and stuff.
Yeah, really, really.
That is crazy.
Really terrifying stuff.
That's very like old Gothic, and I'm sure it wasn't just England, but like old Gothic Englandy stuff where I was like, that sounds right, and that's fucked up and cool.
You know what I thought was funny?
What?
One of the nicknames for Jack the Ripper was Leather Apron.
Oh, I don't remember.
They called him Leather Apron.
Yeah.
Which is like very like rough, like pre-first draft Leatherface.
Yeah.
Right?
Leather Apron.
We call him Leather Pants. Oh, he's a fiend. Leather Apron. So weird.
That's really weird. Also, she said this as an aside, but I was like, more about this, please. She was talking about how also this annoyed me because I feel like she leaned on this a fair amount and it was total conjecture that, he would, because he's an actor and had access to costumes and things like that. That's ridiculous.
Yes, it was kind of maddening.
And she refers to it semi-regularly.
No, she says that in one, like, was it a picture or was it a drawing? Where she's like, okay, Jack the Ripper was depicted walking down the street and you can see, for some reason, there's like a black rectangle at his feet. Is that the gutter? Perhaps it's to signify a trap door, much like the trap doors Walter Sickert would have jumped down in his days on the stage. And it's like, okay, well, that's like double, triple, quadruple conjecture.
Completely.
Because you're looking at a black rectangle and being like, hey, what if that's just like the thing he used to hide in?
Right.
Like, all right, well, is that evidence? Are you using that as evidence?
Yes.
And she is, by the way. She is.
Yes, she is. That's what I'm saying. That's what's so frustrating. That, and that also, she says because he's an actor that he would dress in costumes all the time when he went out. That's a guess.
There was a very funny reference made by her to, she was like, there are many things one can do to disguise their appearance. Mm-hmm. It's funny that all of the eyewitness accounts of seeing Jack the Ripper comment on his height or his hair color when those are things that can be easily disguised. I myself
That's exactly what I was about to say.
have even experimented in front of a mirror, changing my appearance. I've made myself look taller, shorter. It's like, oh, wow. Is this your detective
a real
work?
master of disguise. Okay, so that's not.
What are you doing, Patricia? I'm working.
I'm making myself taller, if you must know.
I squat down. I'm like a little Danny DeVito. It's weird.
And now I'm Rhea Perlman. That's when she goes smaller.
Oh, wow.
That's not exactly what I was going to say, because when she's talking about that and she uses this as kind of support, this is so ridiculous, but also more about this, please, Patricia. She changed her height and costume when she was a kid to go trick-or-treating twice in the same night. Badass.
I love that.
I love that a little kid
that was really
cooked up a scheme like that.
She says
so funny.
It's not just that though. She says like, I'm not too proud to admit this.
Oh, I know.
But
I know. I was looking forward. I was like, ooh, what'd you do? And she was like, when I was 8. I was like, of course, you should be proud to admit it. That's hilarious.
I got my finger on a Butterfinger.
That's
twice.
That's such a funny little kid thing to do. Like, if I had a kid and they had that idea, I'd be like, go for it, Timmy. That's so funny.
But the other... he's really doing it. Timmy's doing it, everyone.
It's hilarious.
But part of the problem for me is that she was like, we got the point. She was like, he could disguise his appearance.
I understand.
She said basically over the course of like 5,000 pages, he disguised his appearance. He was an actor. And then she goes on to be like, cause I don't know if you know what I mean. Like he maybe had a fake hat.
Yeah.
And then she goes like, and if that didn't convince you,
guess what I did once.
Wait till you hear what I did. It's like, oh my God, this is your evidence?
We understand how costumes work, Patty.
Is the case you're building, Patty?
I know. You know what? Now that we're talking about Patty's, Patty, or Patsy, I think she goes by. Now that we're talking about Patsy's personal life, I came across a golden nugget tonight.
I can't wait to hear this.
Oh my God. Pardon the interruption. To run our show, which gets costly between hosting fees and buying the books we review, Book Club Shmook Club needs help from our listeners. You can donate to the show by going to patreon.com/talkbomb, where you'll be able to choose a monthly donation that you feel comfortable with. As a thank you from us, you'll instantly get access to all of our bonus between book shows, which don't stay in our main feed. Every time a new one comes out, we bump the last one on over to Patreon. There are dozens and dozens of secret shows that you haven't had access to if you're not a donor. Doesn't that inflame your FOMO? That's fear of missing out. It's an acronym. You'll also have access to each new bonus show as it comes out, and early access to all of our book reviews. We load them onto Patreon as soon as we record them, so our donors get all of our episodes days earlier than they show up on the public feeds. Again, going to patreon.com/talkbomb and setting up a donation makes that happen, and we thank you so much for it. If you would prefer to individually purchase our bonus episodes, you can find them in our shop at talkbomb.com, where we also have stickers and bookmarks for sale. We would also really appreciate your support by leaving us a review on iTunes, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast app. Positive reviews help other people find our show by making podcast apps more likely to list us. It also helps validate us to people cruising around looking for something to check out. So leaving us a review is like paying it forward twofold, since it helps us and it turns someone else onto something you enjoy. And we do hope you enjoy the show, so let's get back to it. We've read one of Patricia Cornwell's books before. We read Postmortem a while ago and loved it.
Fun Easter egg in Postmortem. Mm-hmm. The killer in that is called Mr. Nobody. Mm-hmm. Chapter 1 of this book.
Oh, yes.
Mr. Nobody.
Yep, I noticed that.
I appreciated that. I thought that was cool.
I did too.
Little did I know not much
what was to come
would end up being.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes. So I remembered I was trying to do a little background research, and I remembered from us talking about Postmortem, I was like, I think Patricia Cornwell is kind of a badass. Like didn't she go through the Quantico training to get not for actually becoming an FBI agent. Yeah. It was just to get in the head of her main character, Kay Scarpetta. Oh, she learned how to fly a helicopter because she was going to have Kay Scarpetta fly a helicopter. And
I think Kay Scarpetta really wants to have foie gras tonight. Perhaps I better sample some. Hey, Penguin Books, foot the bill.
Not bad, honestly.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think she stole a cop's wife or something. So I Googled, and it was that It's crazier than I remembered. Actually, well, not even that I remembered. I didn't know this. So, I forgot that,
What?
This. Okay, so in our Facebook group today, the Book Club Shmook Club podcast Facebook group, you guys can Google that if you'd like to join it, and then William and I will add you.
Go to talkbomb.com/schmook. You'll get everything you need, and there's a super secret link to the Facebook group there. Talkbomb.com. Talkbomb.com/SHMOOK.
Yeah. So in the Facebook group today, on Wednesdays, we post a thing and we're like, hey, anything that you're into right now, like post in the comments so other people can get ideas of stuff to watch or like whatever. Or just like anything you're enjoying right now. And, Anita, who's one of our listeners who lives in Ireland, was like, I'm enjoying watching your president like make a jackass of himself or something like that. And I was like, ugh, can I move in with you? And she was like, yeah, totally. Our president's awesome. There's somebody who's writing a children's book about him losing his glasses that's coming out this fall. And then posted a picture of him. He's like, I can't remember how old he is. He's like kind of an elderly man.
500?
And she posted a picture of him on this BMX bike on like a half pipe with a bunch of BMXers.
He seems like the sweetest man on the planet.
But you know what? He's also kind of a badass because I Googled him and I didn't read all the details of it, but like, he's a good president. He's like a smart guy who like doesn't take no shit, but he's also this like a funny, like adorable guy on this BMX bike.
I mean, he looks like somebody who said, get a picture of me on this bicycle.
I don't know if you should do that.
Why? I'm Irish.
I know. Like, still, it wasn't that bad.
It was not bad. We know, we love our Irish listeners.
We do. I really do. But, anyway, sorry, that came up because I was getting out my phone to look up this thing about, Patsy Cornwell's other relationship.
Yeah.
I clicked away from it when I was looking something up. But, okay. So it was that she went to the FBI headquarters to, do a little research or something. And she met this woman there who was married.
Yeah.
And they ended up having a friendship. And then it ended up going further. And this woman is being interviewed about it. And she was like, writing a little bodice ripper talking about old Patsy Cornwell.
Oh, really?
Oh my God.
Like bodice ripper.
She was like,
that's a steamy novel name based on Jack the Ripper.
Oh yeah, you're right.
The bodice ripper.
Yeah, you're right. You're totally right. But she was like, Patricia Cornwell was putting the move. Like they hung out one night and she said that she kept like touching her leg with her foot, Patricia Cornwell. And then she like took her hand. She was like, it was like she was making love to my hand. I've never experienced anything like it. I was like, ew.
That doesn't sound appealing.
Not at all. But I was like,
hey, Patty, stop doing that to my hand.
You're freaking out my hand. But this one was like, I've never felt anything like this in my life. And I was like, damn. But,
wow.
Okay. So this is where it gets crazy. The woman's husband, they're both FBI agents. The woman gets called to a hostage situation at a church. So she goes, and it's her husband holding a priest hostage to get her there. And he's like, now do I have your attention? Isn't that crazy?
Whoa.
And it's real. Like when I was reading it, I was like, I must not be understanding something. This must be like a novel. No, it's real.
That is insane.
Because of Patricia Cornwell and that ass and that hand play. And toe play.
That is insane.
I know.
Do I have your attention now? Keep your hands inside the vehicle.
I remember if he literally said that. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Yeah.
And the woman said her name was like, doesn't matter. It was like Marge or something like that. She said to the priest, like, if you're praying in there, better say one for me too. Like something like that. Look up Patricia Cornwell, like, Steele's wife, and it'll be one of the first things that comes up. It's from the Daily Mail.
Everyone look up Patricia Cornwell weirdo.
yeah, like this woman has lived a life.
What's going on?
I don't know. She seems like a lot. After I read that article, I did some just very quick like skim article things. I was like, this is a dramatic woman.
She appears to have no sense of humor.
She seems very humorless.
Granted, we're reading a book about murder.
Yeah.
But she's like, people said about me that I broke something. she had
she ripped paintings.
Yeah,
like with the ripping.
That she took apart one of the Walter Sickert paintings to try to find his DNA.
Yeah, but it like wasn't true.
And to my detractors, I just want to say: 1, you don't know me. 2, you don't own me. 3, if I had to, I'd destroy 1 million paintings, but I didn't. Like, that's basically what she does.
Yes, completely. I really feel like, so we were saying before we started recording that I kind of, but not really, wish that I had read Portrait of a Serial Killer, the original book, and then Ripper, so I could know what was added. It feels to me, I wonder if what was added was just her being like, and then you said this about this book, but guess what? You were wrong.
Yes, I think
like
that
and then there's a last chapter where it's just like her acknowledging all of her enemies.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, I think it's basically the same book.
It was really weird. This was a really
weird book.
Strange book.
And it's a long book. Took a long time to read.
If you want to know anything about Jack the Ripper, do your own. As far as I know from right here, the best way that you can get information is to just look up information about Jack the Ripper online.
So. Give it a Google.
Because this book is not the way to like find out what the events were.
I would kind of like to read about the actual, like I would read a book about the events.
What's like the book about Jack the Ripper?
I have no idea.
You know, like the book about Ted Bundy. Is The Stranger Beside Me.
Right.
There are others, of course.
I've mainly heard about the Patricia Cornwell one, to tell you the truth. I mean, I know that there are a lot of other books, and I'm sure there are others that are more well regarded among like ripperologists and everything. Because I know this one's, I mean, there have to be, because this one's like totally terribly regarded. But I don't know. I don't think that there's a famous one, because she's such a famous author. Because
I got to tell you, like, I was looking up stuff about Jack the Ripper, and I was finding out amazing things that I didn't really get from this book. She'll casually refer to being like, and in the From Hell letter, he drew a doodle of a man with a round head. And
also most of these letters are widely regarded to be hoaxes. There's one that they think, and it's from I think it's the From Hell letter.
The From Hell letter.
It's pretty much, people don't think these other letters are real. No. It was apparently a thing to write Jack the Ripper letters at that time. Right. You know, it was like everybody tweeting about Kofifi today. Like everybody would like write Jack the Ripper letters.
Although I will say that I think that it is cool to take another look at that situation and be like, yeah, maybe a million people were writing letters, but
I think it's totally
what
cool.
if Jack the Ripper never stopped? Like it's pretty widely officially believed that there were 5 Jack the Ripper official murders. The canonical 5. They refer to them as.
Yeah.
And she's basically supposing, what if there are a whole bunch more?
Yeah.
It's just that essentially the police around that time started to say like, well, you know what? I don't think that this one quite matches the MO. He's probably either in jail or dead by now. So
and then
whatever.
The real Jack the Ripper can kind of use supposed copycats as covers.
Yes.
And so it also makes me wonder, and we could never know this, whether the person, like the killer Jack the Ripper, or I guess I'm thinking of in any situation where this kind of thing happens, whether they're like, haha, these dumbasses sweet. Now, dumbasses sweet. Now I can kind of fly under the radar a little bit more because they're creating confusion having to do with extra killings and the letters, where he's like, all right, sweet, like flood the feed. That's fine.
Absolutely.
Or whether it's insulting and he's the only one. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
maybe.
Who knows? You can't
and like
know,
maybe he continued to write letters and was infuriated that he wasn't getting the attention that he used to get.
Yeah.
Like I think that her theory is super cool.
I do too.
I think the presentation of it is super not cool.
Yeah.
So not cool.
Yeah. It's highly unchill.
But like I was looking up stuff and I was reading about like some of the big letters that he wrote where he like drew coffins all over the place, and he's saying like he said in one, he was like, I collected a lot of the red stuff from my last victim.
Yeah.
And I wanted to write with it, but it had turned to glue on me.
Yeah.
Red ink will have to do. Ha ha. Literally writes that.
Yes.
Like just being like, I picked the most devilish of colors.
Oh, and also about the ha-has, she uses that as like really weak evidence as well, because apparently at the time, using ha-has was not a thing really in England where this was happening. And Walter Sickert was an apprentice to Whistler, the artist, who's an American.
Yeah.
And Whistler would say ha-ha in letters a lot. So she was like, so Sickert picked up his ha-has from Whistler. What, you're stealing my ha-has now?
What, you're using my ha-has now? Those are my ha-has. Yeah. I just,
like, that's not evidence. Again.
It's so.
Look, I believe in all kinds of things you can't prove. Yeah. This doesn't make any fucking sense.
Well, no, it makes,
but you can't say this is it and keep referring to.
Yeah, I don't.
Because she'd literally be like, well, Sickert obviously worked out his, dark musings in blood. And it was like, you can't say that. You don't know that. You can propose it. So that also bothered me too. Like there are things that would suggest that he's Jack the Ripper. I don't think this is a completely ridiculous case.
Not at all.
But the fact that she treats it as fact and writes sentences that are definitive about like Sickert must have left one of his homes, gone out that night, then he killed this person. And then Sickert went back and it's like, it doesn't feel right to write it like that.
No, not at all. She also, like, towards the end, she's really painting a portrait of a man who's like desperately unhappy and really is like taking advantage of his wives.
Oh yeah.
And she says like, you know, like, yeah, he sort of like, he was very callous about one of their deaths and lied about a bunch of stuff to her family. Mm-hmm. And we already know that he was happy to satisfy his bloodlust by mutilating women.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
wait a minute.
Don't know that.
Wait a minute. Don't drop that bomb like it's a fat fact right now. Like,
that's what bugged me. Some people are just assholes.
Yeah.
And maybe he was Jack the Ripper, but just treating it that way and talking about it like it was a fact. It seems like,
it just doesn't make it
what's the word for it? Like today it would be like you could get sued for
libel.
Yeah, kind of. I guess that's basically what I'm getting at. Yeah, it's like libelous,
but it's
also just not right. It doesn't seem kosher to me. Honestly.
It was like 150 years ago.
Yeah,
and you can say whatever you want.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right, but it doesn't seem that's not cool.
No, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree with you. But like, who's gonna stop her?
No one. I know. I know. I'm just saying I don't like it.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just felt loose as a goose to me. Mm-hmm. The theory, and it was just boring. It was a very boring book.
I know.
Save for a couple of entries, if you would allow me to read from chapter 4, A Glorious Boy.
By all means.
Page 50.
Okay, is it called The Glorious Boy?
It's called A Glorious Boy. From an early age, Walter was a fearless swimmer, with a head full of pictures and music. He was blue-eyed with long blonde curls. His mother used to dress him in, quote, Little Lord Fauntleroy velvet suits.
Well, it is glorious.
Recalled a family friend. Helena's observations don't exactly mirror their mother's endless praise of his beauty and perfect behavior. Just to put him in little Lord Fauntleroy velvet suits.
Well, maybe that was the costume of the day.
Maybe that's how he developed his sickness. Prim and proper.
That also,
around.
Speaking of sickness, like his medical problems, that also struck me as like not cool to speculate about.
Yeah.
Like, there are all kinds of people who have surgery. Well, not like that. I mean, it was, so he had something, which I meant to look up. I don't really understand what it is. Well, I kind of understand what it is. So there's debate about whether he had an anal fistula or a penile fistula.
Yeah.
And she says it's a penile one, but there are other people who, it seemed to me she's almost going against the grain. She's almost going against the pubes.
There was nothing to really hardcore confirm anything she was saying. She was like, he had 3 surgeries, and I believe that maybe the third one was incredibly traumatic.
Right. That's what. So she's talking about how, like, I think that probably the surgeries were gnarly because at that time they didn't have the technology for them to not be so. But the thing that bugged me about her perspective of the surgeries is that, yeah, there was no actual written or even familial, anecdotal evidence to suggest that he was traumatized by these surgeries. Yeah. You would just assume that because back then they weren't advanced, that they were probably, they probably were traumatic.
Probably were, yeah.
And he did have to undergo a number of them, which means that the first couple didn't go so hot, so that's not good.
Yeah.
But then she uses that as part of the, I guess you would say, evidence for him being a killer because he had all these surgeries and he had this problem, he would have a fixation on the area.
Right.
And he probably was impotent.
Yeah.
And whatever. And it was like,
and he may not even had a winkus. Right. It may have been completely,
Yes. Yeah. And I was like, not just that, like that is obviously, you don't know that to be true. So it's a weird thing to point out, but also there are real life people who luckily haven't had horrible surgeries that way, who have problems like that, who aren't all Jack the Ripper. You can have an absolutely perfectly normal psyche in life and have physical ailments that are...
Well, I think that was part of the rebuttal that she received after the first publishing, which was that just because they had to do something to his dinkus, his Mayor Dinkus, doesn't mean that he...
Mayor Dinkus.
Doesn't mean that it turned him into Jack the Ripper. And she was like, of course I'm not saying that. I'm just saying...
that
it was probably really spooky and he killed a bunch of people because of it.
Because she is saying that, frankly. Yeah.
She was like,
weird.
She was like, they may have not used anesthetic. And if they did, it would have been holding a rag full of chlorophyll over his face. And if they didn't, he would have been awake for the whole thing. How traumatic is that? But if they did, he still would have seen the nurse's face as he faded out slowly. She would have been the last thing he ever saw. Probably flip him out, maybe freak out and turn into a freakopath. It's like,
freakopath.
Like, so it's like a lot of like, take this path to that, take that path to that, and they both lead to Jack the Ripper. And yeah, I don't know.
Irritating.
I wasn't into it.
Me neither. I have a couple more notes here too. They were talking about an inquest, which is, I guess, a ruling on how somebody's death occurred. I was kind of confused about what that was, to tell you the truth, because it involved jurors and things like that. It was for one of the victims. And, I guess just a ruling to say what the cause of death was or something. I didn't totally understand. But anyway, during this inquest, a doctor didn't want to give details about the death because it would be upsetting to jurors. My, how times have changed.
I know.
He had a friend named Mortimer Memps.
Oh.
Which is a name I really appreciated.
It's a hell of a name.
And then another name is that, in one of the Ripper letters, or supposed Ripper letters, no, it wasn't in a Ripper letter. It was in, this part I found confusing too. The whole thing about the guest book.
Yeah.
Was
the
that just
Lizard
not,
or something like that?
Do they not use a guest book at that time the way we do? I don't understand.
I don't know.
Don't you just write your goddamn name and
doodles
move on?
all over the place.
Yeah, there are people like doodling and writing jokes. I guess it was like a burn book or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it was
but
weird.
Actual Walter Sickert, like he actually did this, not just, conjecture or whatever. He signed Baron Allie Slopper. Because she wrote that was a popular comic character at the time, and I took a picture of her description because it made me laugh.
The old slopper, eh?
Yeah, okay. The Vandal signs his name as Baron Allie Baron Allie Sloper, an allusion to a low-life sleazy cartoon figure with a big red nose and tattered top hat and a habit of eluding the rent man.
Love it.
That is so
That's amazing.
old-timey.
Yeah.
I loved
That's
it.
like insane.
Baron Allie Sloper.
I enjoyed that he referred to himself as Saucy Jack.
Me too. Like that.
Mm-hmm. Saucy Jack might have to go out tonight.
Yeah. I mean, the Ripper letters are pretty sweet.
They are really sweet.
Yeah.
They're super cool. Even if they're
I
not
really
real.
enjoyed reading those. Yeah.
I have a couple questions for you.
Sure. Fire away.
Actually, first I want to just say something that I thought about this afternoon.
Okay.
On the drive home from work.
I'm ready to hear it.
I was thinking about the name Jack the Ripper and how cool it is. And thinking like, why does that not like Jack the Ripper? You almost hear it as one word. You're like Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have anything to do with anyone named Jack.
Right.
But like, why don't we associate the name Jack with like super duper scary Ripper guy?
I kind of do. I like the name Jack,
I like
but
the name Jack.
There's Jack the Ripper, there's Jack Torrance.
Yeah, I guess.
Jack's a little bit of a scary name, but I like it.
I like it.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about it. And I was like, maybe it's because it's a super common name.
It is. I would say, I guess I really only associate it with its fictional characters. It's not like if I meet somebody named Jack, I'm not like, Jack the Ripper. Yeah.
But I was thinking like, maybe it's because it's a common name. So what if it was like Mortimer the Ripper, or like Elmer the Ripper, I thought of.
Elmer the Ripper?
And I was like,
Yikes.
Elmer deserves a better murder name. And I came up with Elmer Blood.
Ew.
Like Elmer Fudd.
Oh, I didn't even get it.
Right?
It just sounded so flat and like,
it takes a little too much work.
Elmer Blood.
But when you think about Elmer Fudd, then you think Elmer Blood. It's like a cool, like,
it's pretty
dark
good.
Looney Tunes world version. If they reboot the Looney Tunes universe.
I'm about to say, if there's going to be a
shared universe.
Tunes-averse.
Who would play
Elmer Fudd? The guy who plays, what's his name? Mike on Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
That is such a good. Yeah, you're right.
For like the dark Elmer Fudd, who's just like. I just did a like kind of lip smacky thing that he does when he's frustrated in Breaking Bad.
You mean to tell me you don't think I'm going to shoot you? Whatever. What is that guy's name? Jonathan Banks.
Yes, I love him.
That is a fucking great Elmer Fudd.
Elmer Blood.
A gritty R-rated reboot of Elmer Fudd. Now it's not even
Thugs Bunny. Bugs Gunny. Bugs Gunny.
How about the combination Thugs Gunny?
It's too far away then.
So far away.
It's too far away.
People are like, what?
Oh, Bugs Bunny.
What do you mean?
Okay. Ew, you make me so spitty.
Thugs Gunny. Thugs Bunny. You know, they made a cartoon show where it was supposed to be all of those characters in like a super cool, like Matrix-y type world. And they
when?
10 years ago.
Really?
Yep. So it wasn't Bugs
I
Bunny.
love Looney Tunes.
It was Buzz Bunny, and he was like neon blue. And
was this for children or adults? And it's a nostalgia thing.
All of those shows are sort of also for adults.
Oh my God!
Everyone look up Buzz Bunny.
Do you like Looney Tunes a lot?
I used to. I haven't seen it.
I didn't really watch Looney Tunes a lot when we were kids.
In long enough.
I like it fine, but it's like, you know.
Yeah, so they
okay, this looks a little familiar to me.
Lunatics, they called it. So it was like kind of like X-Core versions of Wile E. Coyote, the Tasmanian Devil, Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, some other bunny, the Roadrunners.
The girl bunny.
Stupid idea.
Yeah. And they're each a color like the Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Can you please take that down? It's baby Looney Tunes clip art of who is that?
Sylvester the cat.
It's Sylvester the cat wearing a diaper, holding a straw. Why is he holding a straw?
This is a baby. I don't know.
Babies love straws.
Anyway.
Wait, William, what was your search term for that?
Buzz Bunny.
Why were there all baby Looney Tunes that came up?
Because it gives you like related images.
There were a bunch of Looney Tunes wearing diapers. I feel like that's like a weird secret code search for when you want to see Looney Tunes characters diping.
Well, no, why?
It's like a dark web thing.
Muppet Babies. It's the same thing.
No, but it's just strange that you put in Buzz Bunny and then it's a bunch of Looney Tunes characters in diapers. If you put in baby Looney Tunes characters, I wouldn't have thought that was weird. It's weird that you weren't searching for it and then it came up.
It's like, you want to see this too?
Yeah.
You want to see something else?
Yeah, I got something for you.
So here's my question for you.
Okay.
Jack the Ripper, one of the most notorious serial killers of all time.
Yep.
Killed a bunch of people.
Yeah.
It was really awful.
Yeah.
Taunted the police. Wrote a bunch of letters.
Love a taunter.
Zodiac.
Yeah.
What's the deal? Was he inspired or?
I think not impossible, honestly.
Are you aware of any, not theories that connect them because no one knows, but like any
parallel? Yeah.
It's just it's so directly like a one-to-one relationship.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I don't know of anything deep, but I know that it's like, that's an acknowledged, similarity.
Like a weirdo thing that is the same thing almost 100 years later.
Yeah, totally.
90 years later.
But like, I wonder if that happens kind of more often than we realize to a degree. Well, I don't know. I don't know if that's really true, but like, it's happened other places too. Like the BTK killer wrote letters to the police. Like, it's a weird ego thing,
I guess. Yeah.
You know, but yeah, I mean, that's a thing that it's a parallel that's been drawn.
So strange.
Absolutely.
Like one of the strangest things in the world.
Sweet name.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Also another one of my favorite.
What if there was any, like, is that
bad
it?
Guys.
Like in the last, like, 200 years, there have been two dudes that did the same thing? Is there anything else, like, in the history of mankind where it's like, yeah, in the Middle Ages, we had this serial killer that wrote letters to the constabulary. You know what I mean? Like, it's so weird that, like...
It is weird. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm wondering if it happens more often than we hear about or something like that. Or there's something about those cases that makes them more... I don't know, salacious, interesting, something in some way.
Yeah.
Because I would imagine it happens somewhat, but I guess I think it's going to happen less or in different ways as time goes on because that ups your chances of being caught. So I think that they probably have to like play out, you know, killers have to play out their like weird ego stuff and taunting in different ways, maybe.
I guess there are those things like you've ever seen when like, I don't think it's ever happened with a murder, not to my like recollection anyway, where it'll be like a police Facebook group says like, be on the lookout for Marty Do-Right. He stole a Honda Civic.
That doesn't sound like something Marty Do-Right would do. Maybe he's rebelling against his name.
Maybe. And then Marty Do-Right shows up in the comments. He's like, "You're never gonna catch me." And they're like, "Stay wherever you want.
Wherever you are, Marty.
Why don't you tell us where you are, Marty?" He's like, "Why would I do that?" It's like, that's kind of the same.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, maybe it's like a weird mania thing because you feel like you're like God in that moment. So you're just like, oh, whatever. Like in
I'm God.
I'm God.
Now, Marty, we're being really serious with you.
Well, like in like the Dee Dee and Gypsy Rose Blanchard case, which is all over the place right now because the documentary Mommy Dead and Dearest just came out.
Yeah.
Gypsy wrote disturbing stuff in the comment. Like she posted on her, you don't know this?
No.
She posted on either her Facebook page or her mom's Facebook page. I think on her mom's Facebook page, like, ugh, God. She posted like, you know, I killed the bitch and I raped her daughter and like all this like fucked up stuff. And so then all the friends are commenting being like, are you okay, Dee? This doesn't seem like something you would say. Is this a weird joke? I think she was hacked. And then like Gypsy was writing more.
part of the documentary.
But in real life.
No, I know it was in real life.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying that was, I'm aware of that story. I thought you were saying that now there was something additional now that the documentary's out.
Oh, no. It's just that it's everywhere right now. So people might have heard about it.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's just another case of like maybe somebody in some sort of like manic mania state of being like, I just did this thing. I just pulled this off and I'm going to flaunt it now.
Yeah.
Like maybe that's kind of actually, as I'm saying this, there are ways it's evolved because so that happened on Facebook. You could say that that's a little bit of a cousin of like Jack the Ripper taunting the police with letters because it's kind of throwing what you just did in somebody's face and in a somewhat of a hiding in plain sight kind of way.
Yeah.
You know,
I guess it's just the way you get that information out has changed. Like it used to be like, oh, we got to contact the news because that's how everyone finds out everything. But that now it's like, well, everyone's online, so just put it online.
It can be so instant. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, like people talking about, wasn't there just somebody who was bragging about killing on Facebook like not that long ago?
Maybe I have heard.
Yeah, like, so I guess it's just in different ways, but I guess what you were saying about has that happened other times? I'm not totally sure, but I don't know that's going to happen in that way really anymore. Yeah. Because there are so many different avenues of getting it out. And there is like, I wonder if part of why it's so interesting is that, it is a little bit more primal in a way. Like pen to paper is just a different sort of deal. Like the idea of somebody sitting down and firing off these letters, and there's more effort involved too, which makes it interesting to me, I guess. Like even before the internet, I found this stuff interesting. Like especially the letter writing and taunting sort of part, because there's so much intention that has to go into it in multiple steps. Like you've sat down and decided to write a letter. You've somehow looked up where you're going to send it. You got an envelope. You did all this stuff. It's not necessarily the same as just like in a manic state, like hitting Facebook Live and being like, I just killed whoever.
Right.
Like they're kind of similar in the baseline that they're coming from like this weird ego place, but there's a little bit more
effort that gets put into it. And especially with like Jack the Ripper, like it's believed that if the letters are real, he may have been faking his handwriting from letter to letter to throw them off the track. And
I'm not so sure about that part. Like I'm genuinely not sure. Is that something that people actually think would be the case? Or is that another one of Patricia Cornwell things like, yeah, well, this wasn't Walter Sickert's handwriting, but what if he disguised it? And you're just like, God.
Maybe. I guess I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. I know that like in the From Hell letter, which literally starts like it's addressed as like from hell.
Yeah.
Here is half a kidney from the woman I just killed. And blah, 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 blah.
And because of that one's confirmed.
Right. The writing is so like sloppy and all over the place that I was reading it. And one of the things on Wikipedia was like, if this was written by somebody who's put together, he's intentionally trying to dumb it down.
I find that fascinating too.
But most psychologists agree that this is somebody who is unstable.
Right. And maybe unraveling.
Yeah. So it did seem like if you take that at face value that Jack the Ripper was somebody who was just kind of like at times out of control and like really trying to like flaunt what he had just done in the most wild of ways, but it still required effort. Like,
oh yeah,
well, I got to get my letters and I got to get my pens and I got to put this in the mail.
It's interesting. I think that the drive to do that, like that you would be so driven by your ego that you're willing to go through all these steps and be like to satisfy that part of yourself. I find that so fascinating.
It's really wild.
That's why when I, again, everybody understands from people talking about true crime stuff, they're not my favorite people.
Right.
But that's part of why I find these Jack the Ripper and Zodiac two of my favorite cases to read about, because it's just like the weird psyche stuff of it is so interesting.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
It's really crazy. I saw some artwork online too of like a depiction of Jack the Ripper as a ghoul. And it looks very much like a Scooby-Doo, like frightening face ghoul. It's translucent, but it's like hovering up the stairs of an old timey house with a knife in its hand. And it's like looking toward the, quote unquote camera. It's a drawing, but it's like so frightening and creepy. Like the scary, creepy, this guy's out there sneaking around aspect of it is also so
Oh, absolutely.
crazy interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah. People stalking the night.
Yeah.
And that they could be anywhere and everything is always freaky.
Yeah. I looked up Walter Sickert's Wikipedia page, and it's all about him as being like a well-renowned artist. And like, there's like 2 paragraphs about how some people say it's Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
You know,
so what do you think?
I mean, I don't know.
Same. I feel the same way. I don't know. It could be.
Maybe he was. I don't feel like her case is that.
It doesn't feel conclusive. No.
It's definitely not conclusive.
But yeah, it's not
She doesn't feel conclusive.
No,
about it.
But the theory is not so out there. I think that it could be. I just think there's no way we can know.
It's just a super boring way to tell us her theory.
Yeah.
But I think it's a fine theory.
Yeah.
She just presents it like it's a fact.
Right, which really got my goat.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know. He did seem like, if the stories about him were true, he did seem like he was like a weirdly, like, kind of morbid, detached kind of person. So maybe.
I know.
I don't know.
This, I will say, I'm sure this is not the intent. The book did make me want to read more stuff about Jack the Ripper and maybe learn other theories and things like that.
Agreed. I ended up walking away from it being like, wow, I wish I'd read something cooler
yeah.
about Jack the Ripper, because that was cool.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, I have no idea.
I know. Same.
I have no idea.
Well, let's move on to another mystery.
Let's.
Guys, next time on the show, so 2 weeks from now, which will be June 16th, we are going to be discussing the book And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. I cannot believe this is the first time we're reading an Agatha Christie book.
I know.
And I am really excited about it. She's one of my favorite authors. I don't know how we haven't read one before.
It's really crazy. 4 something years in, we've never read a single Agatha Christie book.
We've talked about it like since the beginning, but we just haven't actually done it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But again, one of our listeners and friends in the Facebook group, I think it was Jillian, alerted us that there was a sale on Agatha Christie books on Amazon, and that's what spurred us on to finally do it.
Absolutely. And I'm excited about it, not only because I'm down for like a super cool Agatha Christie mystery.
Oh, totally.
I also, this is one of my favorite books of all time.
Me too. I haven't read it in a few years.
I have not read it in years and years and years, but my recollection of it is, wow, I love, love, love this book.
It made me think of another book that I think I read around the same time. That's another one of my favorite books, which is also a crime thing and is also actually, it would be interesting to talk about it because it's nonfiction, but it's one of the first kind of like, fiction-y nonfiction books, In Cold Blood by Truman Capote. Have you ever read that?
Never read it.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, let me read you guys the description for And Then There Were None. Go to the Amazon one. I was on the Wikipedia page. Also weirdly on the Wikipedia page, just like, I don't know if warning, but just weird thing to tell you guys. I started typing in And Then There Were None into Google on my phone. And as soon as I put an and T, then the Wikipedia entry for And Then There Were None comes up, which is a feature I generally like on the iPhone.
Yeah.
But the original title of Then There Were None, is 10 little N-words.
Yeah.
This was written a long time ago.
Yeah.
Not saying that's cool, but I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah.
And, that's the picture they came up, like the thumbnail, which is really weird.
I wonder if somebody updated it on the Wikipedia page to be the original title or something. I don't know.
Yeah, totally.
We'll have to talk about that next time.
I'm sure.
Because that's for sure part of the story. This is one of my favorite books, but I don't even know the background.
I don't either.
I feel like it's part of the thing.
I think it's going to be interesting to talk about because I wonder if they're also, given that that's the name, I would imagine they're going to be problematic things in the book and the story. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a very short summary from Amazon. Considered the best mystery novel ever written by many readers, And Then There Were None is the story of 10 strangers, each lured to Indian Island by a mysterious host. Once his guests have arrived, the host accuses each person of murder. Unable to leave the island, the guests begin to share their darkest secrets until they begin to die.
And Then There Were None is one of the first, like, murder mysteries that I was ever aware of.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm really excited to read this book.
Yeah, me too. I'm really pumped about it.
Yeah. So that's in 2 weeks, everybody. That episode is going to be live on iTunes on June 16th.
Yes.
So get ready for that.
Yep.
If you need to get a copy of the book, go to talkbomb.com/schmook, SHMOOK. We will have a link on Friday when this episode goes up.
Yep.
So that you can buy the book. It doesn't cost you anything extra if you go through that link, but it does help us out.
Yeah, it really does actually. Like that's a really, really nice way to support us that does nothing to hurt you at all. You don't have to pay us anything, but if you just do your Amazon shopping, not even just for the book, like when you order stuff, if you go to talkbomb.com, we have links everywhere for Amazon. We would super appreciate it if you did that. It would just be nice.
Yeah, it would be nice. It like straight up, wow, really helps us.
It really does. I was really pleasantly surprised. We had a couple months ago where people did that and like, you know, not $1 million or anything, but it was nice to get an Amazon gift card for stuff that we now can use to buy the books that we buy every month. So
we used part of it to do some of our new merch.
Yep.
We used part of it to get some of the new books that we're going to be doing in the future.
Yeah.
We've got a bunch of Twin Peaks stuff coming out, and there are about 1 million weirdo Twin Peaks books we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, totally. So that's great.
We put that stuff back into the show to do cool new stuff. So
yeah.
if you do that, we would greatly appreciate it.
And speaking of our merch, today is the deadline. Today, Friday, June 2nd, for you guys to enter our merch giveaway contest.
Yeah.
So we're going to cut it off tonight at midnight, and then we're going to announce the winner of it on Monday.
Okay.
So Monday, June 5th, we'll be alerting the winner that they have won all of our merchandise, which is 2 bookmarks, and 2 stickers. And then it's actually 3 stickers because it's the 2 stickers that are available for sale. And then our 1, Book Club Shmook Club podcast logo sticker, which will normally not be available to anybody except for our Patreon donors.
Yeah.
So the way that you enter that contest, and today is the last day to do it, like I said, if you're listening on Friday, is to review the show on iTunes or on Stitcher or on any of the podcast apps that you use, and send us a screenshot of that. You can reach us through our social media and just send us a private message. You can also email us at,
you can just do schmook@talkbomb.com.
Okay, schmook@talkbomb.com.
Yeah.
Also, things that are option center are screenshotting you sharing the show with a friend through text or whatever, you posting about the show on your social media. Basically anything that you do that's either a review or is sharing the show, as long as you send us a screenshot, we'll enter you to win that merchandise, and then we'll be announcing it to the world, but then also specifically messaging the winner on Monday, June 5th.
Yes. And I'm really excited about our merch. I think it all looks super cool.
It really does.
Go to talkbomb.com/schmook. You can find links to look at the merch. It's all really cool looking stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm eager to give some of this stuff away.
Totally.
We've already shipped out all of the merch to anybody who's been one of our Patreon supporters for all this time. So if you guys have not received it already, be on the lookout for that. It's on the way.
It was supposed to be a surprise.
No, it's not.
They thought that they were only getting a sticker.
Oh, no, I said it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because I was worried that they would then buy stuff.
Oh, okay.
Realize. So I told them.
Okay. All right, cool.
So that stuff is out the door.
Yeah.
So we're eager to give this away to one other person for just sharing our stuff. We put a lot of work into the show.
Yeah.
And we would greatly appreciate it if you would help us get the word out. We want to make it easier for you guys to do that.
Yes, please.
More than anything, we just hope you had a good time. So even forgetting the contest, please consider sharing the show with your friends.
Yeah.
Please consider going to iTunes and leaving us a review. And if you did enjoy this show, we'd also like to hear your thoughts about it. So if you read this book, if you've read other books about Jack the Ripper that you can recommend to us.
Yeah, I would really love that. Yeah.
Please hit us up.
Websites or anything. Yeah.
Sure. Please hit us up all over the internet, like on Twitter and Instagram.
I'm at Chillin' Kristen.
I'm at Will Rogers 2000. I will see you guys Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern on Hunt a Killer's Facebook page. That's facebook.com/Hunt a Killer Inc., where I'm going to be doing another live show all about kind of spooky stuff, and it's going to be a good time. So please join me there. But until next time we see you guys, which will be in 1 week for an off-topic-y show.
That's right.
As we build up to And Then There Were None in 2 weeks, I'm going to say that was a good talk, gang.
I'm proud of you, and meeting adjourned.
We outie. 5,000. All right.
Okay.
Say something about Fruit Loops.
I've been better than Fruit Loops for about 10 years now. About 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like Fruit Loops. Okay. Ryan and I went to the city on Sunday and we got this carrot dish that had what were essentially honey smacks on them. It was good though.
What? Why? Is that a delicacy? Is that
no? I mean, it was just like puffed wheat or whatever. But we were like, "What is this? This is a cereal." And we're like, I was like, it was like a frog. And I was like, oh, smacks.
Smacks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We had a Blue Apron thing last night that was chicken with rhubarb dressing or something.
How it? Like
I liked it. I thought it was really good. But the rhubarb dressing was pink, which I think is a weird color to put on chicken.
Yes.
Right?
I agree. Also, do you make the rhubarb mushy? Like, do you like boil it or anything like that? Or is it like...
No, it was good. I did dishes Allie cooked.
No, I know, but like when you ate it.
Oh, did I make it mushy? You mean, did I chew it?
But is it mushy?
Did you make it mushy? No, I know you didn't cook it, but did you make it mushy? You know, with your face?
I mean, like what? Like, is the rhubarb in the dish? Like, did you make it mushy?
Did you make it mushy? Yeah, I had to. Frankly, I had to do it with all the food. I had to make it all mushy. I couldn't swallow it.
Was it crisp or was it like soft?
I guess it was kind of soft.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you make it mushy? All right.
I look like a Koopa in the
what?
Because I'm wearing this big hoodie. My head looks all tiny. Look at me.
Like a Koopa?
Yeah, from the Mario Brothers movie. Remember they have those like teeny weeny heads?
I guess. It's weird. Everything you're saying is so weird.
I know. I don't know.
Hey, everyone. Thanks again for listening to the show. If you enjoyed this episode, you should consider going to our website, www.talkbomb.com, where we have archived every show we've ever done. You can also visit our bonus show store, where we sell exclusive episodes of our podcasts for 50 cents a piece, not to mention our merchandise. If you enjoyed Talk Bomb, the best thing you can do is help us spread the word. Tweet, share, review. We would greatly appreciate anything you can do to spread the word. Please also consider following us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, where we're at TalkBomb. Following us online is the best way to keep up to date with our productions. More than anything, we just hope you enjoyed the show. So thanks again for listening, and we'll see you at TalkBomb.com.